Hello, everybody. Welcome. Today is the full moon. And this month, I did not set up a pre-done full moon ceremony. I didn't write a post about it. I actually did theoretically dictate something that was supposed to be the lead into the full moon post. It's still here on my cute little phone, and that's okay. Because honestly, that is what the whole point of this full moon is. It's a weird one. So today's full moon is an eclipse. If you haven't already seen pictures of the blood moon online, go look them up. They're beautiful. It's like at 3 a.m., I think, is when it reached its peak. And we're also in the middle of a Mercury retrograde, which I did wrote about because I guess I did write about. See, I'm such a good author. This just goes to show that you don't have to be great at grammar and speak well all the time to be able to write well. So anyway, I had already written about Mercury retrograde. And for those of you who've read some of my previous posts on the topic, you know that I have a love-hate relationship with Mercury retrograde. And for whatever reason, it always hits me hard. And even though I've gotten to the place of embracing Mercury retrograde and being like, it's fine, I'll learn my lesson. Yeah. Here we are. So I just decided to take it easy this month and not do a big thing. And weirdly, after I made that decision, I started reading a bunch of things that was telling people exactly that, this is a really powerful full moon, and all the other astrological things going on, which I don't know all the details on, because I'm not super great at astrology. I just know enough to be a little dangerous and just enough that I can stay in some good boundaries for my life and understand that the stuff that is happening in my life, there are all these other things going on. And so one of the interesting things about this full moon is it is in Virgo, and Virgo is about our routines and things like that. But there's a bunch of other polarities pulling against it, which that's the part I don't remember that I read about. But it was also about this inner stuff and dealing with a bunch of other things that are maybe happening inwardly in your life. And it's interesting to me how that all joins with the idea of this Mercury retrograde, because part of the Mercury retrograde that's coming or that we're in is all about all these things that aren't serving us, all the things that aren't helping us right now. And one of those, of course, is what routines are helping us. What are we doing just because to do them? For example, my full moon stuff. Like I said, full moons are really important to me. I do a lot of really big intention setting with a group that I'm part of around the new moon. And so full moon has always been this time where I then release a lot of stuff, do a lot of things. And I had been trying to be really consistent about doing it here in Substack. And I had been setting up these things with Zoom. And like I said, it was just this Mercury retrograde is hitting me hard in bizarre ways. And a lot of it is my routines. A lot of it is my scheduling and remembering things. So raise your hand if you paid your rent on time this month. I actually shouldn't have raised my hand because I just paid my rent. I was sitting there and I was looking at my bank account trying to decide if I could buy this thing on Amazon. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's March 3rd. Wow, I have a lot of money in my account. Oh no, I didn't pay rent this month. So I immediately paid my rent, sent a message to my landlord and said, I'm so sorry. I literally just forgot that we're in a new month. So that's the kind of energy I've been having ever since Mercury retrograde started. And the message that I've been getting from it isn't, oh my gosh, work harder, get better routines, do more, be more, bop, bop, bop. It's really about, okay, how can we soften? How can we be kind to ourselves? How can I be kind to myself and say, oops, You know what? I'm really sorry. I was late paying my rent. And thankfully, I'm still in the grace period, so I didn't owe a late fee or anything like that. But it was nice to just be able to say, okay, yeah, I messed up. It's okay. Take a deep breath and move on. And weirdly, all the weird little things that happen to go wrong for me during Mercury retrograde have already started going wrong. Like I said, the rent, I just messed up a bunch of paperwork that I knocked over and now is all over my office floor. I won't be showing you that today. But just picture in your head a big mess of papers because that's what my office looks like right now. And I spent all day working on this presentation that I'm giving for the Women in Publishing Summit next week. And I was so proud of myself. I was trying out Claude Code. I got it to work. It was all pretty, so nice, because I was changing a previous presentation into making it look really great. And guess what? I have the wrong version of Windows to fully integrate with Claude Code, and therefore everything I worked on all day does not work. I know, right? And I could be mad about it. I kind of am a little irritated with myself, a little irritated with Anthropic, but that's life. And rather than being mad, I was just like, okay, well, so what can I do? What is something nice to do for myself? And so Um, as I was doing with my tea, I made myself some nice tea. It's in this big mug. So this is Mr. Fizzlepop. He is a character in my friend Jill Cooper's books. She writes in her wife's series, Mallory Cooper, the Aeon 13 series. And this is my favorite character. So I ordered a mug with him. And I wanted something really yummy and creamy, which is why I did it in this mug. I made a homemade chai. I did all my chai spices, except I didn't do the black tea. I had a black tea bag that's decaf, my only black tea decaf because it's in the evening. And so I made this really luscious, rich and creamy chai with almond milk, and it's delicious. Also, speaking of cute tea things, this is my cute little teaspoon. Oh, you can't read it, but it says tea time, me time. And it's this cute little stamped engraved spoon that my friend Olivia gave me one year for Christmas. We were doing a work Christmas exchange. And so she was my Secret Santa, and she got me that because she knows I love tea. So, like I was saying Sunday at tea time, it's finding those little joys. And this full moon is really about releasing those things that aren't serving you, that maybe you're doing because you think you have to do it, or it's something you are supposed to do. And so really question, why are you doing it? Or is there an easier way? Like I said, today I decided for the full moon, I was going to continue with my full moon ceremony, and I was going to do it just more off the cuff. I didn't plan anything. Usually I write a nice guidebook. Didn't do any of that this time. And I'm okay with that because, again, what is that serving? How is that serving me? And am I doing it just to do it? Or is there a deeper reason? And what do I need more? What is serving me more right now? Is that having that extra rest? And it's really funny. I'm going to see if I can show you, but um, that's the side of my wall. And I have these really nice little whiteboards that I write different things on. And so the one whiteboard is actually my, where I write my new moon stuff. And so I'm always looking back to that whiteboard as a reminder of, okay, here's the new moon. This is what I said I was going to do this month. Am I in alignment? And is this in alignment with where I am? Because the intention is really in alignment. So for me, my intention, I'm just going to kind of turn and read this. I choose belonging that's built in truth. I release performative connection. I trust my discernment, and I consistently show up for the communities and creative work that reciprocates. And so for me, that intention is all about alignment and saying, okay, where am I aligned? Where am I not aligned? And if I'm not aligned, to drop it and not do it. And so as I was sitting there thinking, okay, well, what am I going to do for my guidebook for the moon this month? Just, it wasn't landing. And we need to give ourselves permission when things aren't landing and to let go of all of those things. Now, usually what I do in my full moon ceremonies is I will write out things that I'm letting go of, and then I go to my fireplace, I burn them. Because for those of you who have seen my previous full moon ceremonies, you know I'm a pyro. I like to burn stuff. It's my favorite thing. It just makes me happy. I mean, I just realized I didn't even light a candle, which is totally not um, what I would normally do. Like normally I go, I light a candle, I meditate, I really get present with this energy. And, I'm just proud of myself. I got off the couch because it's just been a really weird day where I was doing all these things and nothing was working. Like I said, I spent almost all day working on redoing this presentation, and I'm going to have to redo it tomorrow. And that is tomorrow's problem. That's not tonight's problem. And I want to stress that to all of you because you're going to have days like this. And part of it is just understanding this isn't the right timing. This isn't the right rhythm. So that's why I like to pay attention to some of the astrology, because I don't want to work against the energy that's coming in from everything around me. I want to work with it. I want to say, okay, what am I being asked to do? And what I'm being asked to do right now is, okay, what's in alignment? If it's not alignment, say goodbye. And so that may be relationships, communities, things like that. And just being okay with that. I guess I won't share that yet, but part of that is taking a look at those things and asking, is this project a right now project? Or maybe it's a later project. I have a couple of writing projects I was wanting to work on, and all of the weird computer stuff. I'm like, okay, is this a sign to take a step back? And I think it's more of a sign that I'm just going to sit with it more and really be present with, where am I trying to go? What am I trying to do with it? And why? And that sometimes seems really counterintuitive. But one of the other things on my whiteboard over here is I have my strengths. And for those of you who haven't done Strengths for Writers with Becca Syme, highly recommended. But my number 2 strength is called intellection. And really what it means is I need that time to sit and think through things and put more thinking time behind what I'm doing, as opposed to just jump in and do it. Anytime I jump in and do something, one or two things is happening. Number one, it means I actually already spent a lot of thinking time that people didn't see. Or number two, I'm making a really big mistake and I'm going to regret it. And weirdly, that has always proven to be true. So I want you to think about what that looks like in your life. What are the things right now that you're doing because you think you're supposed to do them? You think that, well, it's something that I always do and therefore I should do it. But is it? Is it serving you? Is it what's best for you right now? Is it something that brings you joy? Is it something that is fully aligned with who you are and what you value? And that's been really hard because there are some things that I'm walking away from in my life right now that I thought were aligned, but the more I've had time to sit with it and figure out, is this what I really want? I'm like, wait a second. No. And the mistake that I've made a lot in life is this idea of, oh, well, but I've always done it, so I should do it, right? And yeah, Dawn, you say, like, question the premise, right? Exactly. That is exactly what it is. It's question the premise. And that's another Becca Syme saying of, we build our lives on these premises of, okay, we're supposed to do X. And the question then becomes, are we? Are we really? Is this absolutely necessary for our success or our happiness or any of the things that we want out of life? And what I'm finding more and more is that no, it's not. And so I'm really just starting to do less. And I'm taking more and more off my plate. And that feels really weird to say as someone who's always been high achieving and doing all of these things. And I'm like, yeah, but just because I've always done it doesn't mean I need to keep doing it. And so many of us, that's what we do. We think, well, it's what I'm supposed to do, so I'm going to do it. And, or it's what I've always done, or it's what people expect me to do. Don't you love that one? People expect you to do a certain thing. And so you just keep doing it. And you're like, wait, this is madness. Why am I doing this? And having those conversations with people of, okay, wait, why do we have this happening here? Is this something we need to be doing? And so with the full moon, it's a really nice time to start releasing things. And like I said, I usually have people write things down and then we burn it, and it's so fun. Okay, it's so fun for me. I haven't burned anything on camera in a while because it's weird to get my laptop set up by my fireplace, and I do have a little bowl that I burn. I'll burn like a bay leaf in it or something really small, but it's not as satisfying as going to my fireplace and making a big fire and really just burning stuff down. And we are in the year of the fire horse now. So totally, if you're feeling that urge to burn stuff, please go do it. Um, and I love this, Dawn, you're saying they expect it. In the words of Wesley from The Princess Bride, learn to live with disappointment. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the other thing too, is if you're doing something simply because somebody expects something of you, well, what does disappointing them look like? And maybe you need to disappoint them. Maybe it is time for you to say, no, I'm sorry you expect that of me, but I'm not willing to do that anymore. It's not in alignment. And we're going to have to find some other way. And by where, I mean you. Like if it's something you expect of me, then we may have a problem. And that's one of the things that I was listening to a few months ago, this idea of agreements versus expectations in relationships. And a lot of times, when we're in a relationship with someone, particularly marriage, things like that, I was in a marriage for 25 years, and we had set up all these expectations of one another, but they were never agreements that we made. And it was interesting because when we were talking about the divorce, my ex-husband said something to me that I thought was really interesting because he said, well, your job is to do all the stuff inside the house, and my job is to do everything outside the house. And I just went, wait, what? Like, here we are after 25 years of marriage, and he had this huge expectation of what our job roles were supposed to look like in the marriage. And number one, we never talked about that until after our marriage was over. But number two, I never agreed to that. And where so many marriages fail and where so many people are hurt in relationships is because you develop these expectations of someone else, or they've developed expectations of you and you never agreed to them. And so part of that is communicating those things and saying, okay, wait, let's take a step back. And I had a disagreement with a friend recently where I said to where my friend let me down, and I didn't get a message that I was expecting from my friend in this timely manner. And we had a long talk about it. And my friend was like, oh, yeah, I can see where that would be a shitty thing to do. I'm so sorry. And I said, oh, it's okay. Like, it just occurred to me that I expected that of you, but we never had a conversation. We'd never come to an agreement that this is what we would do in our friendship. And my friend said, yeah, but you know what? It's reasonable. So let's make an agreement on it. And I'm like, yes, it works. And so think about that. Think about in your lives, like, what are the things that you have that you've agreed to, or I should say haven't agreed to, but you're acting as though it's an agreement. Maybe it's something that you need to sit down with that other person and say, hey, can we have a chat about this thing? I know that I always do. I'll just say, okay, here's one. Here's a good example. Like, maybe it's taking off your shoes when you go into a person's house. Okay, so I am a shoes off in the house kind of person. If you come to my house, I would like you to not wear your shoes in my house. And for a long time, that was just kind of an expectation. And it's been really interesting because I've started observing this about people because I've seen that I've used this as an example in some of the events that I have facilitated and been part of. And it's really interesting because everyone has a really strong opinion about shoes off or on in the house. But most of the time, we create an expectation, but we don't communicate it. And so if someone's in my house walking around with their shoes on, I could build a resentment against them because they didn't take their shoes off. But here's the thing. Did I ask them? Did I say, hey, I would really prefer that you don't wear shoes in my house? And then they could say, oh, sure, no problem. I'll take my shoes off. Or maybe they have a really good reason. Oh, you know what? I actually need to keep my shoes on for, I don't know, some really good reason. I don't know what it would be. But then we could have a conversation about that. And then we could then form that agreement of, okay, cool. When you come to my house, you're going to take your shoes off. And it's really funny because I'll go to people's houses now where they don't have the shoes off rule. And I feel really weird not taking my shoes off. It's so funny because I'll go in, I'll take my shoes off, and they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I always take my shoes off inside the house. But if you're more comfortable with me wearing my shoes, I will. So weird that we have all of these different unspoken agreements, and they're not agreements because they're expectations and we didn't necessarily agree to them. And so that's one of the things that you can look at now with this full moon is what are those things that are just an expectation that either needs to become an agreement or you just need to let go of it? And what can you let go that's not serving you? As you noticed, I have my fun little tea ball instead of my teapot. And whoops, I don't know if I can do this without making a mess. There we go. Oh, I just made a mess. Ha ha ha. See? Oh well. It'll wash. It's just laundry. But that's kind of the point is like I have my little tea ball because I have all the chai herbs all put together and I didn't want to have to strain them or anything like that, like I would in a teapot. And so yeah, like you just do weird things. And so this is interesting. Dawn says, if this is a useful example, I deal with something called charcut foot, a deterioration of bones, and so I need supportive shoes. But if I know your values, we may be able to agree that I will bring clean shoes to clean into when I enter your house. And see, that's actually a really great example because see, now I know that there are people who have a foot condition that might require them to take off their shoes. And so I could say, hey, could you please take off your shoes? And Dom would say, oh, you know what? I have a foot condition. Is it okay if I leave my shoes on? And here's the thing. I would probably say, absolutely. I know I would. I would say, yes, of course you can leave your shoes on. If his shoes were super muddy and gross, I might say, okay, like here's a little wet wipe. Can you at least wipe them off first? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know that somebody would if they had really super muddy shoes, would be like, let me track mud through your house. But see, this here was just a really good example of how it's so easy to have a conversation rather than building a resentment against, oh my gosh, this rude guy is in my house and he's wearing shoes and he just didn't automatically take them off. What kind of rude person is that? And that is one of the things I like about retrograde and eclipse season and again, all the other planets that are doing what they're doing is that's the invitation is to have those conversations. But also remember that in retrograde season, a lot of these conversations may not land well. Your communication skills, you're going to have to really communicate well. And if that means maybe waiting to have that conversation with someone, like the big conversation of, hey, you're a real jerk and I don't want you in my life anymore. Maybe save that till after retrograde and just be like, hey, we need to get together and have a conversation. Here's a date I'd like to have this conversation on, and set it on the calendar for after retrograde. Depending, like maybe if it's somebody you're saying you're kicking out of your life, you don't care. But maybe it's a relationship that you want to repair or something like that. Like, this is not the time to go text your ex and say, hey, I've got some stuff I want to talk about. Don't do that. Don't do that. This is the time for you to figure out your own stuff and to say, okay, this is what I need to heal in me. And then after the retrograde, after you've incorporated all of the lessons, if then you're feeling, okay, yes, I should talk to my ex, then have that conversation. But really use this time for releasing and processing and analyzing what's important to you so that you're in alignment with what you value and what's important to you. And so when you're ready to pick up those new projects, you're doing it in alignment with values. Like, today, I almost bought a piece of computer equipment, some computer software, and some other weird electronic thing that I think I really, really need. And then I was like, whoa, slow your roll, girl. This is retrograde season. It's not going to end well for you. And trust me, the number of computer crashes I have during Mercury retrograde are astronomical, historically astronomical. So this is also your recommendation to do your backups. Please, please, please go back everything up. If you take nothing else from me today, please go back everything up. Just in case. And think about, again, since we're working with the full moon, we're looking at releasing all these old patterns. Again, what are those things that aren't serving you? And obviously, my disorganization isn't serving me every freaking retrograde. I am telling you, whatever area of my life that I'm not in alignment with, that I'm not organized with, that my disorganization is harming me, it always comes to bite me a million times. Seriously, it's not an accident that I forgot to pay my rent this month. Again, it's paid. I'm fine. But like thinking just about those little tasks that you put off. And I was putting off doing some stuff with my bank account because there's a couple major things that I want to do. And I was like, well, it's going to be a pain in the neck and I don't want to do it right now. And then I forgot to pay my rent. So there you go. And I'm obviously telling you where my weak spots are and where my blind spots are, but you know yours. And think about what that releasing is going to look like and what is that thing you're procrastinating on. I guarantee you that the thing that you're procrastinating on is probably something that, because of this whole astrological time that we're in, it's probably going to bite you in the butt. Again, maybe your personal astrology is different, but everyone I know who gets impacted by this, the different astrological things, almost every one of them is going to tell you, yep, guess what just hit me? Yep, I know. And so none of this is to be scary. I feel like I'm like, oh, and back everything up and do this and do that. It isn't to scare you. And I certainly spent a lot of my life being afraid of things like Mercury retrograde and, the full moon, particularly these really big, powerful blood moons, and being afraid of that. But I really invite you to consider this an invitation and to say, what in my life is this pointing to? What is it asking me to look at? And where can I focus on tending myself? Because ultimately, that really is the whole reason behind looking through this. Like, this isn't my stack of papers that is now lining my office floor that I'm gonna have to go deal with after this. It isn't screw up Danica's life so that she doesn't get to go sit and relax tonight. It's, hey, all these things that you said you were going to do and didn't do, this stack of papers that you haven't gone through that you're supposed to go through. Hi, I'm here. Do it. And it's that invitation. And if I just throw it back in another stack, it'll still be there. No big deal. I can push it into another pile, go spend the evening watching TV, and it's not going to harm me. But maybe the next time it will be a really important piece of paper in those piles that I've just lost or ruined or spilled a cup of tea on. Yep, I've done that. It's tax season. I have spilled a cup of tea on important tax papers and had to redo everything. So I'm just like, okay, well, what is it asking me to learn? What am I trying to learn here? Am I being asked to communicate better? Am I being asked to take care of myself? This piece that I wrote about Mercury retrograde that I will post soon, eventually. But part of it really was this idea of self-forgiveness, because all these things that I'm telling you that have messed up, these all used to be things I get really angry with myself about. And, knocking over those papers and things, I would just be like, oh my gosh, why are you so stupid? Why are you so lazy? Why are you, all these negative blaming and shaming things. And they never did any work to get me to feel better about myself. Instead, it just made me feel worse and I would avoid it more. And now I can look at it and say, that's okay. You're human. You just need a little extra love. So here, have your super yummy creamy chai, which is really yummy. Because like I said, I got all the cool herbs and put it all together. And so rather than punishing myself and being mad at myself, I did something nice for myself. And so a lot of the full moon stuff that I always tell people to do, I'm not telling you to do it this full moon. I'm asking you to go relax, take care of yourself, do something nice for yourself tonight. Maybe that's making a comforting cup of tea. Maybe it is snuggling up on the couch with your blanket and a favorite movie. And maybe it is just taking some time to really forgive yourself and to give grace to yourself. And all these things that are going wrong, maybe this is the time that you're going to say, yeah, this is going wrong and it's okay. I can still love me. I can still cherish me. And that's the message. That's what this whole full moon is about. So anyway, I am going to go and probably pick up that stack of papers. Because like I said, it is, I'm telling you, but it's, one of those things that, again, it's just part of that self-forgiveness and self-love and saying, hey, I can do this. And, to be honest, that stack of papers that I'm talking about, honestly, dealing with it will probably take me 10 or 15 minutes. That's usually what it takes. All these things I procrastinate on, it's usually a 10 or 15-minute job. And I don't know why I don't do them. I mean, I kind of do, like the whole ADHD adult thing. It's real. And that's probably what it is. But right now, getting to do that is one of those invitations. Yay. Hi, Dale. Yeah, great to be live. I was just wrapping up a little bit, talking about my full moon and all the crazy stuff that has gone wrong. And yet I'm still here and I still get to choose to turn these into ways of loving myself and caring about myself. So yeah, I'm going to go clean up that stack of papers, put them away, do something with them. It'll take me 15 minutes. And so my whole evening isn't going to be ruined. It's not going to be, oh no, I messed up. My night is ruined. And I used to be that person. I'm not anymore. And now I can say, okay, it took me 15 minutes and I'll go heat up my dinner. I already have a sweet potato baking in the oven, so that will be super yummy. Again, just thinking about ways I'm nourishing myself. And that's what I hope you do for you too. So have a great night, everybody. Enjoy the beautiful full moon. If you didn't see pictures of the eclipse, go out and Google some of them because it was absolutely beautiful and incredible. I, of course, was not conscious at that time because that is not my preferred time of consciousness, but I really enjoyed looking at other people's pictures. So have a great rest of your night, everyone, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.